Hello everyone, today we'll be redesigning Rock Lock. It's Sugarbread Cat, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome, I hope you stay. If you're returning, great to see you back. So this was requested by a commenter, and when I looked at Rock Lock's design, I thought the green and the yellow, while it can work together, it's just the formatting of the costume that really just makes it look a little off. Because normally when you pair green and yellow together, it really doesn't look good unless you have one color lighter than the other, and the other color being much darker. So the color combination does work, it just didn't feel exactly right to me, and when I'm coloring in Rock Lock later in this video, you'll see me struggle with that because I just didn't really know what I wanted to do color-wise. I didn't hate the colors, but I just didn't really like them either. Another thing that I just was really iffy about was the neckline. I didn't really like the fact that it was red compared to everything else because the red just stuck out like a sore thumb. The keys, they're okay I guess, but I felt like having a lock there would work better, specifically just because he's Rock Lock. He already has the keys on his hip and there's like lock designs everywhere else, so it just feels like it would make a lot more sense if the keys were just on the hip and the neck piece had a lock on it instead. And when I look at the neck piece, it just felt really thin. I wanted to bulk it up a little bit to kind of give Rock Lock like the appearance that he was wearing armor. So I bulked that up. I bulked up the shoulder pads. I gave him, not really gauntlets I guess, but sort of like that. I didn't cover his hands because if I remember correctly, he has to touch something to be able to use his quirk, so the hands are left uncovered because of that. I kept the belt the same because there just wasn't really anything that I felt that needed to be changed there. Like, the design of it was already okay, it just didn't feel like it would be necessary to change for me. Keys are staying like I said. I did like the whole keyhole design to like the upper piece of his top, so I decided to keep that there and make it more of an armor piece so it would stand out more. I did nix the keyholes on the legs because I just felt like it was a little much, and I get the whole idea is that he's supposed to be kind of like lock themed, but it just kind of made him look more like a court jester, especially with like his sleeves. And I just didn't want that. I wanted him to have like something that looks a bit more serious and also a bit more cool, if I'm being honest. With the shoes, I decided to add more detail there because they were just really fucking plain. I'm sorry, they were just so plain. I mean, in the original design, if he had more detail on the shoes, then it probably would have looked wonky because of all the detail happening on the costume pieces itself. So the shoes were probably kept plain just so it wouldn't throw off the balance, which I get. Good decision. But at the same time, I don't really like the way the upper part of the costume looks. So I was like, you know what? Screw that. We're going to make some minor adjustments here and there depending on what I would have done if I was designing this character's costume. Sorry to interrupt, but I have an Etsy store. If you'd like to support the channel, you can get yourself some jewelry there. Here's the new Halloween earrings that were just dropped. The store is called Sugarbread Studio, and it would be amazing if you could at least take a look. Also, I apologize for like the semi-weird like breaks in my voice. I may or may not be sick. I don't really know at the moment, so fingers crossed I'm okay. But back to the redesign. So right now I'm working on the line art. And I just want to re-emphasize the fact that I changed the sleeves. I took the kind of dangling bits of fabric and just replaced them with some bracers, kind of like the ones that Uzui wears. They're more decorative than useful, if anything. But I just felt like that would look better because, again, I want him to look more like a hero. I want him to have a bit more of a serious look, and the old look kind of has court jester on it. I'm sorry. It just really reminds me of like a court jester, and I hate that like when I look at him without knowing what he's able to do, that is what immediately pops into my mind. And I just want like I just want to have something where you can kind of like get the feeling that, oh, this is a hero character, because there are costumes where jesters will wear masks, so it's like, alright, let's give them something a little bit more hero-esque. I also kept the hair as close as I could to the original design, because I don't want to change his hair. I like it personally. I think it's pretty neat. I'm not very good at drawing like black characters' hair, because I haven't really drawn it all that much, which I do admit I do need to practice. I will be practicing that. But I tried my best to imitate it because, again, I don't want to change that hairstyle. Now onto the coloring. Earlier in this video, I mentioned I had a bit of a problem with it, and here is why. When looking at it, I didn't like the combination of that yellow and green. Like, yeah, it can work, but I hated it. So I messed around with picking green as the predominant color, and it just reminded me way too much of a turtle. So in the end, I ended up scrapping that, because after looking at it for a while after I colored in like the other pieces, I just was like, yeah, that isn't working, so let's try gold as the main color. And immediately that was like, oh, I actually like this more now. Because with the old design, usually you can mix gold and silver together and it won't look all that bad. It may raise a few brows because gold and silver is kind of a bit tricky to mix and get it to look right. But with Rocklock's costume, the original one, the gold, well, it was more of a light yellow, but the yellow and the silver, there was so much of it, and it was just clashing so much. The thing is, when you mix metals, or just like mix a cool color and a warm color, you need to have one color be more dominant than the other. They can't be in equal amounts, because then it's going to look really weird, it's going to not really mix all together that well, and it's going to clash way too much. So if Horikoshi had, say, made the boots a different color, and maybe the keys a little bit, then it would have been, oh, there's more gold in this design. Even though it's a light yellow, it's still kind of treated as gold, but there's more gold in this design. So that would be the dominant color, and it wouldn't clash as much. But since there's equal amounts of gold and silver in the original costume, it just clashes way too much. I'm looking at this from both a fashion design perspective and also a styling perspective. I am transferring out of my current college, but I am a fashion major in college. I'm planning on going into costume design specifically. So this is a good exercise for me, and just figuring out like, oh, okay, how could this work? How could I put my own spin on it, you know? Because I'm not trying to diss the original creator, ever, really. I'm just saying like, oh, this is how I would have done it. I like this character, but I would have done this and this differently, and that's about it. But that's enough about the costume. I just really wanted to change like some of the coloring aspects and bulk it up here and there just to give it more of an armory appearance, because locks are very solid things. His whole ability is like stopping things from moving, in a sense. Like, if you really boil it down to like the bare minimum, which is what I'm doing right here, it's really about like stopping things from moving for a set amount of time. So in my case, it's like, oh, okay, this will work really well for a character like this. And yeah, that's it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps support the channel. Let me know what you think about Rocklock. Do you like the original design more, or do you like mine? Also, if you want to see another character redesigned, just let me know. Again, this is just redesigning the costumes, not the characters. Here's an art piece that I made recently. It would really mean a lot if you went over to my Instagram to leave a like on it and just leave a comment. I work really hard on both my videos and my art, so it just really means a lot. And it also just helps me reach more people and get my art seen. So I would really appreciate if you did that.